The story begins with a high school student named Yuji Itadori waking up in a daze strapped in a chair. A blindfolded man, Satoru Gojo, says to him, "You don't have time to worry about others because your secret execution has been set." Rewind to the previous day, Yuji is checking on his grandfather as he is demanding Yuji to stay in his school club. That night, a student from Jujutsu Tech, Megumi Fushiguro, is visiting Sugisawa High to find a cursed object. Failing to do so, he calls Satoru Gojo only to be told that he can't return without the object. At Yuji's club with Iguchi and Sasaki, the student council president is threatening to close the occult club due to inactivity. They tell the president that something supernatural is happening that is affecting the students on the rugby field. The president, denying their argument, says the illness is being caused by ticks. Yuji is not actually registered with his occult club, which causes the track coach to ask Yuji to help in conquering nationals, and they agree to have a throwing competition. The coach throws an impressive 14 meters, while Yuji casually throws the ball 30 meters, setting a new world record. Meanwhile, Megumi is searching for the cursed object. He sees Yuji dominating and silently acknowledges that he's amazing. Yuji walks past Megumi and he notices cursed energy emanating from Yuji, a possible connection to the cursed object he is looking for. Yuji is rushing to the hospital before Megumi can confront him. In the hospital, Yuji's grandfather is not happy. He is telling Yuji to use his gifts to save others. Shortly after, Yuji's grandfather dies. Yuji is filled with sadness. He mourns, packs up his things and is filling out the paperwork. Megumi enters the hospital and confronts him, asks him to hand over the cursed object and reveals the truth about curses. Yuji is handing over the box, but it's empty. Yuji is telling him that the object is in the hands of the other occult club members who are planning to remove the seal tonight. Megumi is shocked, and Yuji inquires about the severity of removing the seal. Megumi replies saying Yuji's friends are going to die. At Sugisawa High, Sasaki and Iguchi are unwrapping the seal. They find a finger, and curses begin to spawn. Upon arriving at school, Yuji is concerned about his friends and Megumi is asking him to stay behind. Sasaki is hiding from the monsters. Iguchi appears beside her, but his head is taken over by a small curse. A larger curse attacks Sasaki from behind. Megumi enters, and by using his Jujutsu he defends himself from the curses, summoning his divine dogs and commanding them to feast on the enemies. Meanwhile, Yuji is remembering his grandfather's words about helping others. The number of curses are growing as Megumi and his divine dogs are cutting through them to rescue students. Megumi realizes that he won't make it in time, but Yuji crashes in through the window. Yuji rescues the students, allowing Megumi's dogs to devour the curse. Megumi compliments Yuji for his help and Yuji inquires about Megumi's dogs. Turns out they are something called Shikigami. As Megumi is going to capture the cursed object, Ryomen Sukuna's finger, a curse suddenly crashes down. As Megumi pushes Yuji out of the way, a curse captures him. He is attempting to summon another Shikigami, but the curse tosses him out. Due to injury, his divine dogs are dispelled. Before the curse can kill Megumi, Yuji jumps into the fight, but he cannot hurt the curse without cursed energy. Yuji nearly drops the finger into the curse's mouth, but he's able to catch it with his own mouth and eats the savory snack to gain cursed energy. Yuji now has the power of Ryomen Sukuna and kills the curse easily. Megumi beings to worry that Ryomen Sukuna is reborn along with his desire to kill all of humanity. However, Yuji manages to gain control over his body by suppressing Sukuna. Megumi prepares to summon a Shikigami and says he will expel the cursed energy in Yuji Itadori. As he is deciding to exorcise Yuji, Yuji raises his arms saying that he's in control. He says they both need to go to the hospital. Before Megumi answers, Megumi's sensei Satoru Gojo arrives. Megumi reveals to him that Yuji ate the finger, which Gojo is finding hard to believe. Gojo, examining Yuji, realizes that he has combined with Sukuna. Gojo decides to check Yuji's control, asking him to switch to Sukuna for 10 seconds. Megumi holds his Kikufuki, a Sendai specialty, and Gojo holds Megumi back while Yuji is allowing Sukuna to take control. Sukuna attacks, but Gojo easily dodges all of the attacks. With Megumi watching, Gojo is showing off by hitting several attacks on Sukuna. Sukuna claims that Jujutsu sorcerers are troublesome in every era and tries to finish the fight. Gojo repels the rubble made by Sukuna and counts down the final seconds until Yuji regains control. Gojo decides to knock him out and tells Megumi that if Yuji can wake himself up, then he has real potential as a vessel. Megumi knows that Yuji should be executed, but Megumi requests to his teacher not to allow that. Gojo promises that he will fulfill his request. Yuji is bound to a chair in a room filled with seals. Gojo explains that according to the decision of elders, Yuji must be executed, but he was able to plead his case and his execution is suspended. Yuji can control Sukuna, therefore, he can be used to consume all 20 delicious fingers of Sukuna. Satoru Gojo presents him with two options. Yuji can either be executed right now or learn to be a Jujutsu sorcerer and consume the 20 fingers, and then be executed. Later, Yuji visits Sasaki and Igachi in the hospital. Sasaki blames herself as they are sitting by Iguchi's bed. Despite the doctors believing that Iguchi is in stable condition, he is still unconscious. Yuji, explaining the situation, blames himself for everything. Before leaving, he assures Sasaki that a sorcerer will come to heal Iguchi. Outside the hospital, Yuji meets with Gojo, asking him about the casualties involving curses. Gojo reveals that people are lucky to die a normal death after encountering a curse. The two are traveling to the morgue. Yuji collects his grandfather's ashes and swallows the second finger. Gojo is awaiting as Yuji is struggling with what appears to be Sukuna's influence. However, Yuji is only struggling with the grossness of the finger and proves that he can control Sukuna. Yuji decides that he needs to learn how to fight curses and help obtain all of Sukuna's fingers. Following Yuji's decision, Yuji travels with Gojo to the mountain where the Tokyo Metropolitan Jujutsu Technical School resides. Turns out it is disguised as a religious private school, but it is a base of operations of all Jujutsu sorcerers. Before Yuji can be accepted into school, he has an interview with the principal. As they are walking, Sukuna creates a mouth on Yuji's skin and threatens Gojo, saying that he will kill him after taking over Yuji. Gojo says it's an honor to be targeted by the King of Curses. In a dojo, the principal Masamichi Yaga is creating cute puppets. Yuji introduces himself, and the principal asks why he wants to join Jujutsu Tech. Yaga is not satisfied with Yuji's answers and attacks Yuji by using his cursed puppets to get an acceptable answer. He is doing all of this to make Yuji realize more about himself. The dolls begin a second wave of attacks, while Yaga is asking him again why he wants to enroll in Jujutsu Tech. Yuji, grabbing and holding the doll down with all his strength, explains that he must stop Sukuna if he wants to live a life without regrets. Yaga finds the answer impressive and accepts him into the school. Gojo, taking Yuji to his dorm, asks him if he is ready to fight. They exit the dorm and find Megumi, who is disappointed that Yuji will be living so close. Gojo reveals that he will take both of them to Mirioka Station tomorrow. They are going to pick up the third first-year student, Nobara Kugisaki. Nobara Kugisaki arrives in Tokyo. She is thinking about someone important to her, Saori. While Megumi and Yuji are waiting for her at the train station in Harajuku, Yuji is wondering why their class is so small, to which Megumi explains that the new student's acceptance was granted a while ago, and Jujutsu students are pretty rare. Gojo arrives, complimenting Yuji on his new uniform. Nobara notices a man scouting out models, and she asks him what he thinks about her. He is scared of her, and she grabs him, telling him to tell her what he really thinks. Yuji thinks she's embarrassing, and Gojo calls out for her in his blindfold. She puts her things in a locker, and after that she introduces herself and says the boys are lucky to have her as the woman in their group. Yuji and Megumi are introducing themselves to Nobara, but she isn't impressed. Gojo explains to them they will take a tour of Tokyo, and the group gets excited. But he brings them to an abandoned building close to a cemetery where a curse has taken over. Nobara feels grossed out after learning that Yuji swallowed Sukuna's finger, and Gojo reveals to Yuji and Nobara that this is their test. Gojo gives a knife named Slaughter Demon to Yuji and restricts him from using Sukuna's power. He explains that their task is to eliminate all the curses. Yuji and Nobara enter the building. Megumi wants to join them, but Gojo stops him by saying that this test is for Nobara. They head inside and begin the search together. Nobara is ordering Yuji to go downstairs and she will go upstairs, but Yuji disagrees. She storms off by kicking Yuji away. While Yuji is confused by her attitude, a cursed spirit attacks him from above. Acting quickly, he slices apart the curse with his cursed tool. Meanwhile, Gojo believes that Yuji is somewhat crazy, but that in order to become an effective sorcerer, a necessary amount of craziness is required. He is just testing how crazy Nobara is. Nobara comes face to face with a cursed corpse. She pierces the face of the corpse using her hammer and nails. The cursed corpse is standing in front of Nobara, but its head is destroyed by Nobara's nails as cursed energy flows through them. Nobara finds a small child hiding. The boy refuses to come out, and Nobara notices another curse. The curse shows his intelligence by taking the boy hostage. Nobara weighs her options and thinks she should be the one to survive and sacrifice the boy, but instead tries to protect the boy by surrendering. In what she thinks are her final moments, she thinks of her friend Saori. Sudden while Yuji punches down the wall and frees the boy by cutting off the arm of the curse. The curse attempts to flee, but Nobara uses her straw doll technique on the severed arm and exorcises the curse. Nobara then reveals that her friend Saori was outcast by the people of her village because she came from Tokyo. She wants to get back at those people. That's why she enrolled in Jujutsu Tech, so she could come to Tokyo. Yuji, despite being confused, accepts her motivation. She hopes to meet Saori again. Nobara thanks Yuji for his help. They return the boy to his home and Gojo offers them dinner as their reward. Nobara orders Yuji to get her things from her coin locker in Harajuku. Yuji refuses, but Nobara continues to yell at him. Yuji looks at Megumi for backup, but he's too busy on his phone. During the next month, the 3 Jujutsu students are called out to exorcise a cursed womb, but one of them dies in the said event. Kiyotaka Ijichi brings the first year's Yuji, Megumi, and Nobara to a detention center where a cursed womb has been spotted. The 5 detainees remaining inside detainee block 2 can potentially spawn a special grade cursed spirit. Upon Yuji asking about the special grade, Ijichi warns them about what to do when encountering a special grade. They have only 2 options: either run or die. Their mission is to rescue the survivors. A distraught mother is asking them to save their son. Yuji says that they must save everyone. Ijichi is casting a curtain barrier, concealing them from the outside world, while Megumi summons his divine dogs to warn them when a curse approaches. They enter inside a curse's domain. Yuji and Nobara are panicking, but Megumi is confident that his divine dogs will smell any threats. They move and find bodies trapped inside. Among them, Yuji finds Tadashi, the son of the distressed woman. He wants to bring him outside, but Megumi refuses and says that he is a detainee in this juvenile detention center. He doesn't need to be saved. Yuji counters him and asks Megumi why he saved him in the first place. Nobara yells at both of them to stop, but suddenly gets dragged by the curse. Megumi is confused, wondering why his divine dogs didn't sense the threat, and he realizes that his dogs have been killed. Megumi says they need to run, but the special cursed spirit appears in front of them. Both of them are paralyzed by fear, but Yuji attacks the spirit with his knife. He loses his hand, and the knife is now broken. Meanwhile, Nobara is surrounded by masks in a strange area. Megumi flees the area looking for Nobara using Nue. Before Megumi ran away, Yuji asked for Sukuna's help, telling Megumi he will distract the cursed spirit until they make it out. Megumi is shocked by the powers of the special grade cursed spirit and listens to Yuji. Megumi is rushing to find her with his other divine dogs while Yuji is getting punished by the enemy. He can't hold back the spirit's surge of energy, he's too weak. Elsewhere, Megumi is able to save Nobara just before she was about to be devoured by the curses. Yuji realizes that he will not have a proper death and about to die. He begins to cry. This makes him realize that he can use his negative feelings on his fist. He charges toward the spirit with a fist reinforced by cursed energy and strikes it. The special grade catches Yuji's punch, but he was able to buy enough time for Megumi to escape with Nobara. The divine dog howls, signaling to Yuji that he can unleash Sukuna. Megumi stays outside with Ijichi and asks him to bring back a grade 1 sorcerer to help, and he will stay here to deal with Yuji if Sukuna's rampage lasts too long. Sukuna takes control over Yuji's body and thinks about the best way to get back at Yuji. He decides to put the situation back to the way it was, but the special grade, refusing to work with him, attacks him. Sukuna stops his attack while healing Yuji's arm, and believes that the curse has chosen its death. Sukuna overpowers him and put an end to any ideas of it getting proud of itself. He shows both Yuji and the curse what real Jujutsu is by activating his domain expansion, Malevolent Shrine, and slices the curse into pieces, allowing Sukuna to take back his finger which had spawned the cursed womb. Sukuna is irritated that he's been used by Yuji. He demands Yuji to take back control, but he doesn't answer. Sukuna laughs in an evil manner, realizing that Yuji can't switch back. Megumi notices that the cursed womb's innate domain has disappeared. He is waiting for Yuji, but Sukuna arrives to tell him that this won't be happening. Sukuna blames Yuji for overusing his powers. He also says that Yuji cannot switch back, and in order to prevent him from taking control, he rips out Yuji's heart. Sukuna now has full control over the body, and switching back will result in death. Sukuna eats another one of his fingers to strengthen his control. He prepares to kill Megumi. Megumi says to Sukuna that Yuji will switch back even if it means taking his own life. Sukuna argues by saying that Yuji is just a coward. Megumi, ignoring his words, notices that Sukuna can use the reverse cursed technique since his arm is healed. He plans to fight Sukuna, believing that he is weaker without a heart, and can force Sukuna to heal Yuji's heart. Megumi begins by summoning his Nue and engaging in close combat with Sukuna. Sukuna plays with Megumi until Megumi unleashes Orochi and lifts him into the air, where Nue strikes him repeatedly. Sukuna destroys the Great Serpent, and by using the open space he throws Megumi without using any kind of power or Jujutsu. Sukuna is overpowering him and Megumi is forced to release his Nue. Sukuna is quite impressed by Megumi's techniques. Sukuna asks him why he chose to run instead of standing against the cursed womb. Megumi recalls how his sister was treated unfairly and how his father left him. Megumi doesn't believe in karma and nobody gets to enjoy true fairness. Therefore, that is why Megumi will save people unequally based on his own convictions. Megumi saved Yuji because he didn't want to see a good person die and believes that he's a sorcerer, not a hero, finishing their conversation from before. Yuji listens to Megumi from inside and takes back control of his body. Blood pours out of Yuji's chest and Yuji collapses due to his wounds and tells his friend to live a long life. In Tokyo, 4 mysterious figures are walking and discussing why one of the sorcerers used a Sukuna finger to test Sukuna's strength. They were the ones who spawned the special grade curse. They stroll into a cafe where everyone only sees the man despite the cursed company he has. Meanwhile, Gojo meets with Ijichi in the school morgue. Gojo believes that Yuji was set up by the higher-ups and they purposely sent Sukuna's vessel on a dangerous mission. Gojo is feeling irritated and threatens to kill all the higher-ups. A school doctor, Shoko Leiri, arrives and is surprised to see Gojo so emotional. She asks permission to dissect Yuji's body and Gojo asks her to make good use of him. Megumi and Nobara, saddened by Yuji's death, are sitting on the stairs together. The second-year Jujutsu students arrive and find them sulking. Maki asks why they're looking so glum, but Panda reveals to her that their classmate died, and now she thinks she came off as cold-hearted. Panda says that's exactly how she came off, and Toge says Tuna and Mayo. Megumi introduces them as Maki Zenin, Toge Inumaki and Panda. Megumi mentions another second year named Yuta Okotsu, but he's studying overseas. Nobara is annoyed that he doesn't add more about the panda named Panda. Panda apologizes for Maki's rudeness and asks that they participate in the Kyoto Sister School exchange event. Since the third year students are suspended, Tokyo High needs more participants. The second years explains that this event is a battle between schools where sorcerers fight against one another. In order to get stronger for Yuji, both the first years agree to participate. Elsewhere, the unknown sorcerer and cursed spirits are meeting. The curses explain that they want to gain the dominant position the humans have. They're asking how they can defeat Jujutsu sorcerers. The man says, in order to go to war, they need to render Satoru Gojo unable to fight and make Sukuna their ally. The curses believe that Yuji is dead, but the sorcerer is not sure. Somewhere inside the residuals of Yuji's soul, Sukuna is looking down on him. Sukuna is pleased with himself and sits atop a mountain of skulls, telling Yuji not to look up without permission. Yuji replies that Sukuna should come down. Yuji begins fighting against Sukuna but is quickly overwhelmed. Sukuna explains to him that they are in a suspended state of existence within Sukuna's mind. Sukuna wants to make a deal with Yuji to fix his heart and places 2 conditions. The first condition is he can use his body after using a key phrase, and the second is Yuji will forget about this conversation. Yuji refuses to lend his body, but Sukuna promises to not hurt anyone. Yuji does not believe that Sukuna will fulfill his side of the deal. Sukuna further explains, saying a promise made with Jujutsu cannot be broken or else Sukuna will be punished. Yuji refuses and demands him to bring him back to life without any conditions. Sukuna offers a fight to the death to decide which way Yuji will come back to life. Yuji agrees and Sukuna instantly bisects Yuji's head. Gojo meets Ijichi and says he's not a good teacher. However, to change the broken foundations of the Jujutsu community, he wants to train strong allies to fight against the curses in the future. He believes students like the second-year Okotsu and the third-year Hikari have enough potential. Gojo feels the loss of Yuji as he had the potential to be on par with Gojo himself. As Shoko is preparing to dissect Yuji's body, he suddenly comes back to life. Gojo is happy to see him and wholesomely high-fives him. Gojo asks Shoko to leave Yuji deceased on record to avoid anyone making an attempt to kill him again. Gojo plans to train Yuji privately to get him ready for the exchange event. In a diner where the mysterious sorcerer Suguru Geto and the cursed spirits are, a waiter senses a dangerous presence. The volcano-cursed spirit Jogo wants to know what would happen if his team of curses tries to kill Gojo. Geto believes that Gojo will exorcise all of them. He recommends that they use a special-grade cursed object, Prison Realm, in order to seal him, not kill him. Jogo feels excited. The waiter, sensing the danger, quits his job and flees instantly. His boss greets Geto for his order but catches fire instantly. Within a few seconds, everyone else catches fire as well. Jogo claims that he will take Prison Realm for himself and will kill Gojo in return. At Jujutsu High, Megumi arrives to train with other students. He and Nobara are training to get better at close combat, while Gojo trains Yuji to control his cursed energy. Gojo explains the differences between cursed energy and a cursed technique by using cans. The first can is blasted with pure cursed energy, while the second is twisted by using a cursed technique. Yuji believes that he's about to learn a cursed technique, but this is not possible as sorcerers are born with innate techniques. Gojo wants to improve Yuji's fighting style with Jujutsu by having him channel cursed energy into his fists. Yuji believes that he succeeded in it in his last fight, but he is not able to show it. Gojo explains to him that it is important for sorcerers to control their negative emotions. To teach this, Gojo is going to have Yuji watch movies. His training involves pouring just enough cursed energy into another one of the principal's dolls while watching the movies. If Yuji doesn't fill the cursed corpse with energy, it will attack him. As movies are meant to draw out all kinds of emotions, his goal is to maintain the steady flow of cursed energy. Back at school, Megumi asks Maki how he can use weapons alongside his cursed technique. He is thinking about his exchange with Sukuna, which makes him realize that he can keep cursed tools within his own shadow. Meanwhile, Nobara is shopping for a new tracksuit, and Yuji is still watching movies. Gojo reminds him to focus harder before leaving to meet the principal of Kyoto Jujutsu High. Gojo asks him if he spoke with Sukuna, but Yuji doesn't remember. Ijichi drives Gojo toward Kyoto. Gojo notices a disturbance and gets out of the car, telling Ijichi to drive off alone. Gojo stays in the middle of the freeway until Jogo crashes down in front of him. Gojo dodges and casually asks who he is. And that brings us to the end of Jujutsu Kaisen Part 1. If you want to find out what happens next, make sure to like this video, subscribe to Panorama Anime and comment for Part 2.